Welcome everyone back to another episode of Roots. Hey Mom, how you doing?
Hi, Alexander.
Thanks everyone for listening in. For those that are joining us for the first time or for those that are coming back, thanks for coming back. Quick introduction on Roots. It's a series of conversations between my mom, myself, and our family to understand our history, to understand our present, and to link the two with the intent to connect us even stronger than before. So today we have a pretty interesting and exciting episode, Mom. Today I want to talk about the day of escape, the moment where it all happened.
Okay. Oh, wow. Yeah.
and
Taking a ticket back to the past.
oh yeah, and I'm sorry. Is there anything else you wanted to preface for the introduction before we get started?
Well, I'm just saying that, yeah, this podcast with the intention about bridging the generational gaps, things that as a refugee or immigrant who come to this country, um, so the younger generation might not understand where the parents' background or the grandparents' backgrounds completely. So when I wrote this book, my son Alexander read it, and he had so many more questions than the book provided, which is good because now he's digging deeper into our roots so he can pass on to his children in the future. We can start up some of your conversation with your family, with your parents, or with your children, just to of the culture and the generational in the new country that we settle on. That some of us decided to sort of like not walk away, but put our roots knowledge on hold. So I am at the point that I want to know what's going on back then when I was a teenager, and there's so
Hmm.
many things that I didn't have time to reflect or
Yeah,
or to decompress. So this is a good time to do that, and I hope that everybody also want to take the opportunity and do that with their families.
absolutely. And just as a quick recap over the past few episodes, we've talked about my mom's life growing up in Vietnam, talking about her family, talking about school education, what it was like when the communist regime started really planting its flag into her life. And that's been a series of events that has led up until a fateful day and then a fateful journey, which is on that boat, which is such a crucial moment for you. And I think that the book that you wrote covers a lot about what was going on during the time, what a lot of people were doing, what was happening. But I want to peel another layer back and get into what you were feeling, your emotions.
My head, huh?
And yeah,
You want to get inside my head?
yeah,
Yes.
because I think it's a really, really crucial part of your life that I need to hear about and I need to understand so that I can continue being grateful for what you went through to essentially give to me, later on down the line. So today I want to start talking about that day of escape, and I want to start thinking about what your emotions, what your feeling was like, and then I just want to take it from there.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yeah. Without describing the whole situation, it's really hard to describe to you my personal feelings. So I want to give you a pretext of what's led to the day before
Sure,
that we
sure.
or led to the day that we get on the boat. Okay.
Yeah.
So it was a massive operation. So 502 people in that boat was a big project. So when we travel as a whole family to the countryside, we were in Saigon, in Jalung, part of the city in Saigon. We have to travel. I don't remember. I didn't think that we do a bus. I think we charter a car or something because we have to drive to the countryside, which is down to the tip of South Vietnam.
Hmm.
We're very close to the village or the town that my mom was born. It's called Lea. So what happened is my mom reconnected with some of her friends that we can stay there for about maybe a week to get things settled, and then you just don't budge in and budge out. And plus you have to ask for permit everywhere you go with the communists. So we have told the government that we sold our house. Luckily that they believe us, they let us sold our house. So we just kind of give the money to all our relative, because either that or you have to go black market and buy gold, and everything is the currency is gold or American dollars. So you don't keep the Vietnamese currency. So we were faking that, oh, we're gonna go to be a farmers down in Rạch, or that's what the name of that town. And when we went down there, it took us a journey, I think 3 or 4 hours. I can't pin that down exactly, but it was I was really anxious. That anticipation for a whole year that led to that trip, and it's a trip that I myself didn't even think the magnitude of what's going to happen, even though that we have heard a lot of news from friends, from people that, oh, so and so reach Malaysia, oh, so and so sink their boat, so and so get to Philippines, so and so get to. So the whole entire 2 or 3 years that what we did nothing that was the talk. That's always the talk, and things in people's mind.
Yeah. And remind me how old you were again at the time?
I was at the time that we leave, I was 16.
16. So like for me, that's like, if I think about that, I was a sophomore in high school.
Yeah.
So I definitely, if I were in that situation, I would know the gravity of what was happening. I would have a very basic understanding of like the importance of what was going on, and what was illegal, what was not illegal, all that stuff.
I was beyond know everything, because remember I was the oldest.
Yeah.
I am the oldest. I'm the third rank in the family. After my dad was my mom, and then mom. I have to know everything moms know pretty much, or even some, because I remember a lot of stuff. When dad says something, I remember. Mom's got a lot of occupying her mind. But I knew the intensity of the situation, and I knew that, this is it. Like, I was so anxious. I did not even look. I didn't even have the feeling of like, oh, let me walk through every room. Like, over here in America, we sold a house and we walked through every room, and I got emotional and I was crying. I was looking at this room, what happened in this room. Oh, there's great memories, flashback. But at that time, I was so young, and I would just build up a lot of excitement. And I think, after 4 years of being oppressive, you just can't wait to go to even the unknown, because the promise was so great. The promise
so there's
of freedom was so great that you don't even thinking about, oh, someday you don't even thinking about, this is it. Once I'm gone, I'll never come back or anything. Like, I don't remember they clean out the house, and I don't remember I walked through every room. Or maybe I did. I don't know. It didn't really register in my mind, because I was just looking forward to be out of that country.
Wow. The sentiment was that strong, huh?
Yeah. And because a lot of my friends already gone too. I was taking out school. I was taking out a year before that to do all the sewing, to do all the, domestic skills, like embroidery, cook, and I prepare. Everything was for that moment. I mean, for my mom, my dad, everyone who understand it. We know that it's going to be tough road ahead of us, but it's going to be glorious once we made through. And that is what making us so enthusiastic about, we were actually really happy that we had a chance, because it cost a lot of money, and it's frightening, because a lot of people pay for a large amount of money and get tricked. They get caught. They made it to the boat, and either there's no boat, or they get caught. But
that's interesting. Because so there's two particular things there that stood out that I didn't know. I guess the first thing was like, when I think about the day of escape, it's kind of like you're all hurriedly packed up in your old house, and then on the morning of, you're like, all right, everyone, this is it, we're leaving, time to go. But it was like, this was very
Oh,
much planned in advance. You
it's
had a
well
whole week.
organized.
You had like a fake move where you told the government you
Yeah,
had sold your house, you had moved south, and then you had
yeah.
gone from there. And then that's pretty interesting. It's like
It's
you had
a
a lot more time and preparation
it
than I thought you did.
it was, for a lot of people, they have to like gone in the instant the boat is announced it that the boat's ready. Now, because my dad was in control, my dad was in the inside circle. He was the project manager, and four other boat owner have invest their capital. They all chip in, and then they have a staff, they have an organization that take care of things. And within that four owners and my dad, we also recruit people. Like everything was
Right.
underground. Everything was communicate through trust,
Hmm.
because somebody have to know somebody, but it has to be completely trusted. Because if you are not careful, it could be an undercover cops, or it could be somebody, then you're it. But it's just not you, your whole family. Like if I get a friend or a client that I'm not investigating, it might jeopardize my own family. So
Yeah.
so everybody's at stake.
Yeah.
So everyone has to really careful, and to organize 500 people on a boat in the middle of the daylight. Like we boarded at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the evening.
Hmm.
So it's a little, so it's a little softer sun, and we want to make sure that by the time we get out there, it's dark. It's not going to be creating a lot of attention. The
Oh,
coastal
okay.
guard is not going to stop us, because
Yeah.
we already grease everybody's hands, from that village to that office to that the port to everything. My dad is already take care of, I don't know how much money already have paid to the government official just
Hmm.
to be able to board onto the boat. Now I have to say that I did not really think anything much until, when I grow up. I really admire how my dad was so careful and planned every single step of the way. Because,
Yeah.
like I said, a lot of time people have to taxi small boat, and then have the big boat park, dock somewhere out in a deeper area, and
Hmm.
they have to taxi like a small batch of people, 8, 10 people, and then take the boat, and not even going to the boat, because they didn't want to create any noise.
Yeah.
So, my boat, we didn't have to do that. The boat would just like find the best port, the deepest area, and it's not it's a big boat, but it's not huge, right? So it's about 90 yard. Um, so 28 meter is about 32 yards, I think, in length,
Hmm.
and about 9 yards, 8 meter, nine
Hmm.
yards in width. So 9 by 32 yards. So
Hmm.
that's about 90 feet.
Hmm.
It's a very it's a very hard to convert to, so
That's
people
fine. Yeah, that's
understand.
fine. Hmm.
But we took hours and hours to load that boat, because it's
Oh,
got
you had a lot of
water.
time.
Oh
Wow.
yeah, it took like 4 hours to load that 500 people, and
Wow.
and yeah, that's what I'm saying. With all the people who get caught, my dad was able to do that in the open daylight,
Wow. Oh,
and
wow.
he was there, standing with the clipboard,
Uh-huh.
checking off every family. We call on name each family, and sometimes there's people like my friends and my other people who knew. I mean, when I was with my mom's friends, like I said, I want to backtrack a little bit. So we were
Hmm.
down there a couple days before we loading on the boat,
Yep.
and we were told that keep it low profile. If
Yep.
anybody asks, saying that you are just coming down for vacation or something. But
Hmm.
it's a small town, everybody knows everybody. And when I walked out of that house into the supermarket, people already knew that, oh, you're city people, you're coming down here to escape. People already know. People say,
Yeah.
what's the name of your boat, where does it dock? Because
Oh,
people want to find out, so they can be there. And if they be there, there's chances that we have to let them get onto the boat because or else they're going to go call the real police.
Wow. Yeah.
So, and then we have to fake and it's like, no, no, we're buying a house here. We're getting, we're vacation, but we're buying a house and we're going to try to farm. And those people knew so much because at that time, nobody's really, they know A, you're Chinese, B, you're out of town and you sort of like, look different. You're not the
Just
farmer
sticking out like a
type.
sore thumb.
Oh gosh, yeah. You
Uh-huh.
stood out. And so many people I was like, hey, little sister, where's your boat? When are you leaving? Oh, you must be excited, And I was like, no, no, no. We're here to visit my mom's friends and whatever. But
Hmm.
yes, every single person that went down there, over that 500 people, they have to find a way of, to stay overnight or they come down at the slick of the time that when we're
Hmm.
boarding the boat.
So this is interesting because what I think that ties back well to is your family did a lot of planning and preparation to make this happen. And because you had, we'll call it the luxury to do so, it added to the emotion or feeling that you guys were very excited to just get out of there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting because that is very much mixed with the fear of what was happening if you were going to get caught. And it sounds like
There's a
that
fear.
fear
Don't get me
also
wrong.
in a way
Mm-hmm.
added to the excitement because you're just like, well, they don't want me to do this, so it must be good, it must be amazing. And then all of these people that are also trying to get on board with what you're doing, even then it's just like you're creating such a heavy demand for this thing that your dad is doing, and it's just like, wow, this must be just like an incredible thing that we're about to do.
Now, I don't want to under how do you say the word? Like, undermine the people who actually risking and it is still dangerous. I mean, what we did because we already have planned when anything that you already prepare, even it's fear, you have an excitement attached to that fear because you already planned for the worst scenario. You already planned what happened if what happened, and you already know the people that who allow you to get on that boat. Now, mind you, I have to say that most of these people, the government let people go out because they're Chinese, okay, and they create this so they can get the money from all these Chinese people. And Chinese people, I have to say, is a wealth off population in
Mm-hmm.
Saigon,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody's have gold. We're not rich, like I said. We have enough to buy our route out, and because my dad was part of the organization, so we got a lot of discount. But still, that's about 12, I think 16 ounces of gold or tail of gold per adult. And that's why the reason that he pushed me down to 12 years old using my sister's ID, because then I get half price
Yep.
instead of paying on the adult price. So there's many reasons that led to things that go on. And I think it meant to be because, somehow I didn't mind. I say, whoa, then I'll become younger and I have more time to study.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that I have to say that lots of people bring a lot of wealth, and in that boat, I would say probably, I would guess, I don't know much. I can't say the fact, but I almost want to say only 1/3 of those people on board are Vietnamese.
Sure.
They're mostly Chinese, and we recruiting lots of Chinese, and
That makes sense though,
nobody.
because I mean the Chinese people were being the most discriminated against, and they were given the most incentive to leave. That makes
And the
sense.
government sort of like, that's why I say sometimes I call it semi-legal, because they approve you that you can buy this passage if only
Yeah.
you're Chinese. And a lot of Vietnamese have to fake their documents saying that they're Chinese in
Yeah.
order to buy the passage.
Hmm.
And like I said, it was kind of like a mixed feeling for me. Like, I know that, oh my God, I'm gonna leave this place and never come back. But you know what? I don't mind because it's so bad. I don't want to come back because,
Yeah.
everything changed. My friends, I don't have friends anymore. And what am I going to come back for? It's on nothing but poverty and but struggles and
Hmm.
but discrimination. So we got up to the point that were glad to
Yeah.
buy that death sentence. It's like even though we know that going out, hopefully we don't encounter anything, and that's why my mom prepare all this stuff that she took all the gold and she have it made into a silver spoon and plated with silver just to make it look like utensil, that kind of
Yep.
thing. And
Yep.
she's very skillful, and she did all of that, and we were excited. We were hoping for the best,
Hmm.
prepare for the worst,
Yep.
and just pray to God that whatever happens happens. And
Yeah.
I'm
Did your
telling
did
you,
your parents give you like a crash course at all on what
no,
to prepare for and how to do
no.
particular things? They were just like, you're getting on
They
a boat today. You gotta figure it
they
out.
just say that, and a lot of time we don't even need to prepare
Mm.
to have a crash course. We just say that my mom, she's very well thought. Every single one of us wear a blouse, and in the blouse got a embroidery patch where she
Mm.
hide $100 American in there.
Mm.
And then each of us, we get a gold 24K gold ring and a necklace. Except my
Mm.
brother, who doesn't wear necklace, but he just, and she would make sure that every single one of us would wear something, that we know that we have possession in there, that we can
Hmm.
change it into currency or change it into something. But for the
Yeah.
older kids, because the younger kids, they can't do any of those anyway. So my job is to look after them, and my mom look after them. And then I get separated when I was on the boats, and that was a little scary because it's 500 people. You have to step onto people in order to find your mom, and especially if
Yeah.
you are in a
Super
different
packed.
deck.
Hmm.
But I'm telling you, I just didn't remember much about the sentimental thing when I left Vietnam. All I know is I was really excited, and I see hope on the horizon. I see
Yeah.
that I can go back to school. I can wear my uniform. I didn't know that America don't have uniform unless you go to a private school,
Yeah.
because I think before the communists, in public school we still have to wear uniform.
I feel like there's a transition point there because you started with a lot of hope, a lot of excitement, a lot of speculation for the future, and then you fast forward to 2 or 3 days later, and there's like these really really scary moments with pirates, with conditions, with just everything that was going on. Did you ever at that point question what your parents were doing or if you guys were doing the right thing?
Not me. No, I still feel like it's worth it because somehow when you were small, when I was young at that time, the boat seems huge to me. I mean, and you look around, you see people, so you don't have that sense of danger that you are a little speck out in the big ocean.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's just crazy to me because I mean, if I think about what what I would have done, or mostly what I might have even felt during those situations, like I would be so upset at my parents. Really, like, why am I having to go through this? Like, this is a awful situation. Everything smells
there's
bad.
talk.
I'm thirsty and hungry. Like, I
There's
I, I
talk.
want to go. I want to go back.
Oh,
Like,
plenty of people did that.
but not
Plenty of
you.
people did that. Well, for me, what am I going to do? I can't blame my parents. I wanted to go. I wanted to leave. I can't
Oh,
blame my parents. No, but that's not a blaming time. But a lot of people already begging some of the captains or the boat owner, please, can we just turn around and go home because we lost the compass because the pirate tossed the compass away,
no.
and they took all so we have no idea where we were going. So there's
Mm-hmm.
prayers group, you're gonna hear like, and people are vomiting on top of each other because none of us, I want to say that probably 90% of those people have never been out on a boat not even a
Oh
big
wow.
boat, let alone a
Let
small. That
alone
was my first boat experience.
let alone be on a boat for a few days.
Yeah, in a small boat, and the wave relatively calm, but it's still, it's still rough for a small
Hmm.
boat out in the ocean. And we did
This
have
the
some.
scariest thing to me there is just like the fact that like anywhere you look, there's nothing but water.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
and it's so scary when it's at night. So you see that when I watched Titanic, it put me back in that very moment over and
Oh
over and over. Like
yeah.
when they were then when the boat was sinking, because all you look around is completely darkness. And then you look
Yeah.
up the sky, there is nothing but the sky. You watched the movie Pi?
Yeah, like the life of Pi.
The
Yeah.
Life of Pi. It's the same thing. It's like he was out in the ocean and he looked up. It's so hot and sunny during the daytime, and it's scorching sun and just burned. Your lips is all like cracking, and your face, and it's just like, and you get this salty air of the ocean, and the water splashing, and it feels good, but it's all sticky, and then
Hmm.
the sun's pounding, and then at night whereas wind, and then you don't know if there's sharks around or not, and you look
Mm.
around, there's no land, it's just completely darkness. And it was scary, and like I said, lots of people praying, and lots of women start crying,
Mm.
say that please can we just turn around and go back. I don't even care if they throw me in jail. It's
Wow.
better than out here in the ocean, and nobody knows that we die. At least if I'm going back, it's going to be some proper funeral or something. But we already know once we hop on that boat, it's like a one-way ticket. There's no
Yeah.
way. There is no way. And majority was like, no, we're gonna plow through. If we
Hmm.
die, we're gonna die. And
And the crazy thing is like that wasn't even the worst part yet. That was like I because looking through the book, things got even worse after you hit Malaysia. Malaysia rejected
yeah,
the boat.
yeah, yeah.
What
That
like
was
up
scary.
until the Malaysia up until the point where you guys ran across the Malaysian Coast Guard, was there like a is there like a particular like sensation or a particular like because like you describe it as like just like a blur of events and things that were happening all the time, but was there anything that stuck out to you?
Well, you're so tired and you're so seasick,
Yeah.
and you just like a zombie. So there's not a whole lot of thought process in your
Mm,
mind. You were,
mm,
I was hallucinating. I was dreaming a lot. It was so hot that I dreamed that I was in my room, my house, and I was getting up to go and turn on the fan. And
mm,
I'm just like, you're hallucinating things, just like you in the desert. You're thinking of
yeah.
water, and
Mm,
on the boat, the sun is beating you so hard, and there's, it's just really harsh condition, and you just think that you're gonna get up, and I'm about to get up, and then the boat, I'm just like I fall down, and somebody is just, throw up on me. The next person sit next to me, and I was just like holding on somebody's shoulder and then sitting back down, and it's the whole time it would just it is a blur because it's not a whole lot thing. And then I dreamed that my mom peeled an orange for me, and I was like, oh my God, where did mom hide that orange? It's so good that she's got an orange, and it feels so real. And I was just like raising my hands like, mom, give me a slice, give me a slice. And I wake up, and my mom was like half asleep, half leaning into the other woman, and it was just so bleak. So I was like, I want to go back to dream, so at least I have a dream to hang on to. And I was so thirsty that I felt like something's better than nothing, so I was scooping up some ocean water and trying to drink that.
yeah, bad choice.
And I'm telling you, don't do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Especially not when you're that dehydrated. But
and I
even
was
through,
smart. I thought that I can rectify it because when we left, mom took some sugar and squeezed lemons in there. And it's just like a form of not pure sugar, but it was like lemon sugar, and she
mhm,
dried them back out. So I thought if I put enough sugar into the seawater, it will make it a little salty, sweet,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't matter how much sugar I put in there, I still could not drink that thing. And it made me
Yeah.
even more thirsty. And
But even through all of this, I mean, it feels like you almost didn't have the time to think about whether or not like what you were doing was the right choice, or if had
it,
it was just like, let's just get through this, let's just survive.
yeah. So
Huh?
either die, either freedom or die. That is the mind of, the majority of the people in the boat. It's
Mm-hmm.
called either we do it or we die, but there's no return. There's no return. And when I said it in the TEDx talk, I did question. It's like, is it worth it? Is it something worth it? Yes, it's absolutely worth it if you survive.
Mm-hmm.
Only if you survive. And the hope is to fight all the odds to survive. And we would think about the positive, because it can be bleak, right?
Yeah.
Within 3 days, we got 4 pirate assault, 4 robbery on the ocean, and some of them, I have to say that some of them have a little heart. So they went around. They give us a little water. I mean, it's all depend. Some guys, some pirates are nice. Some are just really nasty. But the
Mm-hmm.
nice one would go around with a little jug of water, and they just give you a few drop on your mouth. So, um, but yeah, I can't say. I mean, right now, if I think about that, it's really scary. You know what's scary? When I go into the ocean on the cruise, and the cruise is so big, and I'm scared now on the big cruise ship, because a little bumpy or little thing, if on the cruise ship, sometimes you don't feel the wave, but
Mm-hmm.
you sit. I usually just go out to the deck, and I would sit, and I would look at the ocean, and I just want to cry. I just want to
Yeah.
cry, because it's just like coming all back.
Yeah. I don't, yeah, I don't even, there's no comparative experience. There's nothing, I'm speechless. There's like nothing there but for me to just like listen, because that is such a foreign concept. I've never had to fear for my life. I've never had to
And we hope that you
um
never, I hope that you never, ever. I mean, in America, it's really stable. That's a dream place of all places. But you know what? Nobody can promise anything. And we just hope. We just hope and pray that we never have to run again.
yeah. Do you think that, and I think this is a good question to end on, but like in that time period, and again, I want to think about like up until the point where you hit Malaysia. So just thinking about that time period from when you left to where you hit Malaysia, was there any sort of resolution or resolve that you assigned to yourself, that's to say like, if I get out of this, this is going to
Yes.
happen? Yeah,
Yes.
tell me about it.
Yes. My whole focus is I have to go back to school.
Really? Goodness gracious. That, and it's so you're just like, if I get out of this, I just can't wait to
Yep.
learn again and get back to school, and
Yep.
wow.
My whole entire year or 2 years before I get out of school in Vietnam, that's all I ever wanted. Go back to school.
Wow.
And um, that was the only goal that drive me to do everything possibly I can, because I know I don't want to end up like my mom or dad, the blind ox. That's what he always called.
Yeah.
And to him, that is really important, because he doesn't want to have blind oxes in the family. He's already one big blind ox that he said. And somehow, I always loved school when I was young too. Even though
Mm,
that, I didn't tell you much about my history of changing school after school after school, but somehow it prepped me to be a bubbly girl, to be, it took me a long time to be well liked, because I always want to have friends. I'm timid about it, but I never feel like, I would offend anybody. I always want to please people and be their friend to be accepted.
mm,
But when I get to that trip, I told my mom probably 1,000 times that she's probably sick of hearing it. I said that my only dream is I have I'm wearing my uniform and go back to school.
wow.
That
Even then, like the goal of going back to school, when I think about who you're doing that for, even then, that's just kind of like carrying on the wishes and legacy of your parents, which I think is so, man, that's so just crazy. It's
I
so crazy, but it's so culturally like, it's just like, wow, like why
but
when
I am so glad that they bumped me down 4 years, 4 years,
yeah,
because legally I can't work.
yeah,
So when I come over to America, I was like 13, I mean, really 17. And I actually, once we got to to West Philly, I applied McDonald's and they would not let me because I was not at the legal age to work.
yep,
So that gave me a lot of great excuses. And I was so happy that my dad did that for me.
hmm,
It's just because that my one and only one thing that I know when I get to America is to go back to school.
yeah.
So that whole
It
entire
really makes me put my own goals and perspectives, like my own goals and thoughts back into perspective. I don't think I've ever made it a goal for myself to be like, uh, well, I mean,
it's
you know,
different.
there's always that perception where like I have to do well in school, but I've never like of my own volition really wanted to like be a part of like the educational system, I guess, you know.
You can't
It's
compare because you can't compare oranges and apple. You never put in that situation that you're being yanked out of school and to do
yeah.
paperwork,
Hmm.
and it's illegal to not have kid going to school over here. So you're well protected. So
Yeah.
you are taking that for granted somehow. It's almost like a chore to go to school for kids over here, but for kids in the disadvantaged country, to them going to school is a luxury. It's something
Hmm.
that they know that they have a better future.
Which is why it was something that was so ideal for you, something that you really wanted to attain. But that's really cool to hear. Like for me, like my motivations at the end of my goals are so drastically different from yours
Yeah.
at that time. But it really puts things into perspective, and it gives me a really high level of gratitude for just kind of like what you had to work towards and what you wanted to achieve, and how that, you know, and how that has given me the luxury to put that in a completely different lens. But I think that's a really good place to stop. um and thank you everyone for listening in. Thanks mom for really opening up and you know, allowing yourself to wear your heart on your sleeve like this. I think it's really
Thank you for
powerful.
your curiosity, Alexander. And I hope that a lot of people appreciate their parents more. I think once you dig out the history, not just you appreciate me, Alexander, but I appreciate my parents for what they did
Hmm.
in order that I can have what I have.
Yeah, and I think it's a really interesting conversation to go back and think about, well, what was it that you wanted? What, you know, from my parents' eyes, like what was important to you? What mattered to you?
Yeah.
And I think there, I may never be able to understand it, but at the very least, you know, I know where you come from. And so when we have conversations in the future, I can think about, well, why are they asking me these types of questions? Why do they care about this versus that?
Yeah.
And I think that, it's really healthy for us to have this conversation now, because I think if we were to have this conversation, like if I was a kid, I wouldn't appreciate it. I wouldn't get it.
Right. Right.
But
And you
it's
will
really,
appreciate more as you grow older, as you become parents yourself.
yeah. Hmm.
And I hope that people listening to this podcast will trigger up some question to ask their parents, because you can't really love someone until you really understand and open that dialogue. So
Sure. Yeah.
so
Hmm. All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in again. This is another episode of Roots. Next episode, I think we're going to get into the latter half of that journey, because crazily enough, everything that we've talked about is only half of that boat ride, and then we got a whole other
and
half to dissect.
and it's not even half, because there's so many more moments in that those moments that the pirates that get to us. But
Yeah.
yeah, we'll come back at some point. I think that we're gonna use it as a reference somewhat. But
Hmm.
thank you. I'll see you
All
next
righty.
episode.
Yep. See you next episode, Mom. Bye, everyone.
Bye.